This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
You know, if we recorded these just one day later than we do, and mind you, we'd stick to a pretty strict schedule on a week-to-week basis, but we would have been able to talk about the first episode of Hard Knocks. If we would have been able to catch it before record time, but that's not the case. We will be kind of talking a little bit about it. Like, we'll have some comments about some of the videos that have surfaced here.
Because they've released quite a bit.
They have, including one in particular that came out, I want to say it was yesterday, it might have been the day before, but that I feel like got mostly positive reviews from, and especially nationally speaking, but a lot of people locally didn't like it, and I'm kind of confused by it.
If it's a video I'm thinking of, I loved it. I didn't know it was getting national attention, and I didn't realize people here didn't like it. I'm not sure why they wouldn't.
Oh, dude, I have seen all over Twitter. Like, I think it was like Book It with Trent, or that big TikToker was like putting all my money on the Lions right now. Like, hammering the Lions over was like the common theme I saw. But so that's a video that we'll be talking about today, amongst with some other ones, and we have a couple of Pistons conversations as well. There's also a couple of lists that came out that involved the Lions that I wanted to bring up, and I know you've got one too. So, with that being said, this is the Fan Report, where it's by fans.
For fans.
I'm Nick, and with me is Andrew, and you can follow us on Twitter at Real Fan Report, and Detroit Sports Podcast is our wonderful network at Detroit Podcast. It's where you can find them on Twitter as well.
Nick, should I keep the teal as my Zoom background until the season starts? The Pistons season starts?
That is entirely your call, my friend. I don't hate it. I like the teal.
Or until I cop a teal jersey to pair with the teal background.
So one of these weeks, I saw, I was going through an article talking about all the new uniforms this year, or new and some old. I kind of want to go through them one of these days and like give it thumbs up or thumbs down to some of them. Have you seen the San Antonio one?
I don't think I've seen any.
I actually think it's really cool. So they are using a lot of Mexican heritage in the San Antonio Spurs alternate uniform this year. There's one that I will honestly say, like, it's cool, but I feel like they are missing out on a great opportunity, and it's the Milwaukee Bucks alternate uniform, where they have like an antler going up the side of the uniform on each side. Why not just bring back the deer? Why not just bring back
one with the giant deer, like basically on the rib almost?
Yeah, well, no, I'm talking. Why not just, if we're talking meshing with our heritage or meshing with our history of all these teams that are doing this right now, including the Pistons bringing back the teal, why not just bring back the whole damn deer? I loved that logo and loved that uniform. I thought it was sweet.
Oh yeah,
but anyways,
the Bucks have one of the coolest throwbacks. Like,
they do.
They're one of my favorite throwbacks. That one, the Raptors.
The Raptors, yes.
Like the purple ones.
I think the Houston Rockets old uniforms with the pinstripes are pretty cool. I like the what's one of the other ones that is just I can't remember. I can't think of it right now. But I think we should go through.
The Raptors always the first that come to mind.
Yeah, those are easily the first two that come to mind, just because of the famous logos they had with the Raptor and the.
I mean, the '90s, just in general, I feel like was a really good era for the NBA in terms of jerseys, because like they felt like they were a little more loud with their jerseys.
Loud, I will say this: they fell in love way too much with the color teal. I feel like every team had teal.
Oh my god, yeah.
So
the Grizzlies, the Spurs, the Pistons, just off the rip.
If they could have toned that down a little bit, which, by the way, is there not a more 90s logo than the Spurs 90s logo?
Oh my god.
I just picture like that, that cup that has the swirls on it with the teal and white swirls. Like, that's what I picture when I see that Spurs logo. Most 90s thing ever. Anyways, what did you want to kind of kick things off with this week?
Whenever we do that episode, we could also go back through Pistons jersey history, and
we could. I'm good with that. I'd have to find that article again. I'm sure it won't be that hard. I think it was just an ESPN article that was going through all the new uniforms for the year, but we'd have to find it again. But anyways, what did you want to kick it off with this week?
What, in terms of Pistons or Lions?
Either.
Let's kick it off with the Pistons because I think we only have one topic on the Pistons. And
okay.
Then
Yeah, I'm good with that.
we'll close out with a bunch of Lions talk. So, if you guys are familiar with the website Clutch Points, we don't normally reference them on the show, but it's the end of the offseason for the Pistons, so I'm sorry. They released an article of 3 bold predictions for the 2022-2023 season. I'm going to alter these predictions a bit because these are a little bit nonsensical, but to try to make it a little more realistic.
Nonsensical.
I'll give you the real prediction.
I was going to say, give me the predictions. They now I just want to hear them.
Okay. I'll give you my prediction. Or do you want? I'll give you the real prediction. I'll give you the prediction I actually want your take on. How about that?
Yeah, give me that.
So, to start, Clutch Points prediction: the Pistons get rid of all their key veterans, meaning Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, and Kelly Olynyk.
Can you argue any of those guys are key veterans?
They're basically our only veterans. Sir.
Well, okay, fair enough.
By New Year's Day, I'm going to extend it to the trade deadline.
Let's take it back to the
because
trade deadline. Yeah,
we don't often have just a ton of trades before New Year's Day.
Right.
So do you think Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, and Kelly Olynyk are still on the team after the trade deadline?
I don't think they'll
it's
get
possible.
I don't really think it's. I don't think it's likely that they're going to get rid of them all. I think they do get rid of 2 of them. If there's one I had to pick to stay, it's Alec Burks because I think they're kind of razor thin at the wing. I think the other 2 they have some ability to be expendable with those guys, especially if Jalen Duren kind of comes on and gets comfortable quickly. If he's able to pick things up at the NBA level and NBA speed at a relatively, I can't even say relatively, but at a very quick pace, because that's what it would take for him to be ready at this point. But if he's able to be a plus NBA player by the time of the trade deadline, yeah, they'll look at guys like Noel and Olynyk to be expendable on this roster, especially with the presence of Bagley, the presence of Isaiah Stewart. You've got Jalen Duren. You've got Marvin Bagley. I think I already named him, but you've got pieces there that can fill into those roles where you don't necessarily have to have those guys play.
Yeah, like just to add on what you said, like Alec Burks, I feel has the easiest path and least competition for a role.
Yes,
on
absolutely.
this roster for the skill set that he brings. Like the guy knows Noel, I can see him contributing early on this season, but I could definitely see him losing minutes to Jalen Duren as the season goes on if Jalen Duren ends up.
There's a ton of talk of Alec Burks possibly having a starting role on this roster with starting role minutes.
Buy it. I almost expect it.
You don't have as much talk about that with you have none of it with Noel, first off, and you have you have a little bit more, but not much of it still with Kelly Olynyk. So that kind of tells you what the depth really at those positions are and where the pecking order is with those guys.
Yeah. And Olynyk barely was able to crack the lineup once we had Marvin Bagley. So
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
And I like Olynyk, but
I do too. And he's a good offensive player. He can shoot the basketball and stretch the floor quite a bit more than a guy like Marvin Bagley can. But Bagley brings a little bit more energy and interior presence.
I don't know if I agree with rocking a snapback and sneakers with the tux that you wear to your wedding, but other than that, I like him. That was the most casual wedding outfit. If you guys haven't seen Detroit Pistons,
the guy's worth millions. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, I know, but I just never seen a wedding where you wear a tux with no tie or bow tie, sneakers, no belt, sneakers, and a snapback.
Hey, whatever,
what did
man.
you have to do to get the wife on board of that one?
He's a millionaire.
Yeah, there we go. Number 2. So this is based in the fact that, anyone who wasn't aware, Kate Cunningham was one of 20 players in the NBA to have multiple triple-doubles last season. By multiple, I mean more than one. So, Clutch Points' bold prediction is Cade Cunningham becomes a triple-double machine. I'm going to say Cade Cunningham gets 10 triple-doubles. That's going to be the bold prediction. I don't know. Triple-double machine, that tells me he's going to nearly average a triple-double.
I'm going to say
with
no on this one.
he reaches 10.
I'm going to say no on this one. And here's my thought process behind it. As the year went on, we saw him be less and less aggressive on the glass. And his rebound numbers kind of seem to hover more so around 4 and 5 as
another
opposed
big
to
body there with Marvin Bagley. And then adding 2 more big bodies and no one, Jalen Duren. The rebounds are going to be hard to come by.
Exactly. And he doesn't need to be as aggressive on the glass as he was to begin the year last year. When was the last time he had his triple-double? Was it before the All-Star break or after?
I guess it'd be after. I couldn't give you the exact day, but
well, regardless, I just have a feeling that he's not going to need to be as aggressive on the glass, and he's going to focus more on getting his teammates involved. So you may see him come close to averaging a double-double. Maybe it's like a 20-7 or 20-8 season, which is great. But I think those rebound numbers will be kind of somewhere hovering in the 4 to 5 range. I don't quite think he gets 10 triple doubles this year. I can see him getting 5, but I think 10 is a little bit too lofty for what I would expect him to be doing this year in terms of his role.
It'd be quite the jump because he had 2 last year,
right.
to reiterate. So his first triple double came in on January 30th. His second one came March 3rd. Nope, sorry, that's not a triple double. His second one came. Oh, that was his second one. So his first one must have been early on. Oh,
yeah, his first one was super early on. It was only
November
like
21st.
Yeah, it was super early on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't see him getting 10. I can see him getting maybe 5. But 10, I think, is just too much to ask for a guy who's, for the most part, not going to be asked to be as aggressive on the glass as you saw at times last year. And it's just,
how many triple doubles would you define as a triple double machine?
I'd say probably pushing 20.
Yeah.
Like, how many did Nikola Jokic have last year?
A lot. This is something
see.
I can also.
He had 19 last year.
Yeah.
So,
and I would call Nikola Jokic a triple double machine.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Pushing 20 is what I would say is a triple double machine. 15 to 20, somewhere in that range.
So you got to cross the 15 mark. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. Because you got to think of it. That's like almost 25% of your games. Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah, and like we said, a jump from 2 to 10, I feel like is pretty insane.
Like, and to give you an idea of how hard 10 is, Luka Doncic, he had 10 last year.
Yeah, only 5 players reached 10 or more. It was Luka, Russell, James Harden. I didn't realize James Harden had 11. DeJounte Murray and Nikola Jokic.
Luka only had 10. So if you think Cade can put up numbers like Luka, which I don't, there's your answer.
So maybe just based on this list, maybe we call 10 triple-double machine territory. Because
I mean, maybe. That's fair. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't think Cade is capable of putting up Luka-type numbers. I don't quite think he's that good yet.
I think he gets 5.
5 is a fair number. That's kind of what I'm leaning.
That's not triple-double machine.
No. That's the occasional triple-double.
Yeah. Unless you call LaMelo Ball a triple-double machine.
I would not.
All right. The last bold prediction for the season. And this one I'm not altering. I'm keeping this one as is. Jaden Ivey finishes top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. I think this is the most interesting one. As a refresher, Cade Cunningham finished number 3, and there was a giant gap between 2 and 3.
He did. Granted, that was an undeserved gap. He should have won it, but
the NBA draft subreddit put out a poll the other day of which rookie is going to have the best sophomore season, and Cade Cunningham had the most votes by a lot. You could have summed up every other rookie's votes, and it wouldn't have equaled Cade Cunningham's votes.
I'm going to say no. I think the competition this year is just so stiff that it's going to be tough to break into that top 3. And especially with Jaden Ivey's going to be looked at as a one-trick pony, a scorer probably alone this year. I think you're just outside the top 3, maybe top 4, top 5. Because you're looking at guys like Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, who's looked great so far. Granted, it was just Summer League.
You think the whole top 3 finishes in the top 3?
I think it's very plausible, yes. I do. Barring any injury, I do think it's very plausible because they're both going to have, all 3 of them are going to have tons of opportunity to shine as some of the bigger names and better talent on their team. Versus Jaden Ivey, you could argue that he's not a number 1 or number 2. He's a number 3 on the Pistons. Granted, you could obviously say the same about Scotty Barnes, but it would take a Scotty Barnes-like performance, and that's not really in Jaden's game.
It doesn't quite have the Barnes versatility.
Right. So I'm leaning more so outside that top 3, but probably inside the top 5.
I think just based on usage, like, I'll put Banchero over him.
Mm-hmm. Jabari Smith?
I'm thinking about Jabari Smith because they're going to need him in that lineup because he's going to be their best defender by far because that lineup lacks defense. So Jabari might get a lot of minutes. I don't know how much offensive output he's going to be able to have. He's got Alpi alongside him who's going to command the ball offensively. Obviously, Jalen Green and Kevin Porter
but Jabari Smith can step outside in a big way that Alpi can't. Like he's a guy that can step outside in a major way. I think Jabari Smith's going to command a lot of that offense. I really do. I think you're going to see guys like Kenyon Martin Jr. kind of fall by the wayside. Who's the other guy they have?
And Chet, I wonder how slowly they're going to bring him along in OKC.
That is the one wild card for me, but let's not discount some of the other names that are.
Yeah,
that
you also
could be
got Keegan Murray, you got Ben Math,
right. There's other names out there that are going to have some showcase time that could pass Jaden Ivey because maybe they're a little bit more versatight than a guy like Jaden Ivey.
I could see Keegan Murray get a ton of usage.
Yes, I can see Ben Math get a ton.
I think the Pacers are might be going tank mode, so I think they're going to
showcase Ben Math quite a bit, in my opinion.
Ben Math and Tyrese are basically be that team,
right? So I kind of lean just outside the top 3, just because I see Jaden Ivey's season.
Would that be a disappointing outcome for you?
No, not really. I mean, he was drafted number 5 overall. You know, if he was supposed to be inside the top 3, he'd have been taken inside the top 3.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't say that's disappointing at all. If he falls outside the top 6 or 7, that would probably be disappointing. I'm less like in terms of Cade, it was disappointing. 1, because he deserved it. 2,
number 1 overall.
He was number 1 overall. Jaden Ivey's not that. Like
there wasn't even a question really. Like he was number 1 overall, solidified.
If Jaden Ivey finishes, let's say 7th or 8th in the Rookie of the Year voting, and it's just because everybody else had a really good year and he still had a good year but wasn't as good, why would I be upset? Like he had a good year. If he provides scoring, provides some defense a little bit, provides playmaking and an option that's not Cade Cunningham in the backcourt, like what more could we ask of him? So he doesn't finish inside the top 5 in Rookie of the Year voting. That's okay.
If Jaden Ivey averages over 15 points per game, do you think that could be enough to put him, let's just say, number 3? I do not. In Rookie of the Year voting.
I do not. Where did Jalen Green land last year?
Well, Jalen Green also had a very slow start to the year, but
he also averaged 17.3 points per game.
Yeah, he did.
So there's your answer.
Yeah.
I don't think 15 points a game is enough to get you inside the top 5. Definitely not inside the top 3, especially when that's the majority of your game.
What kind of numbers does Jaden Ivey have to put up to be top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting to end the season?
I think in the case of Jaden Ivey, it's going to end up having to be a Scotty Barnes like type of usage and performance. It's going to have to be like, maybe he can get away with 15 points per game, but he's also got to show high level defense, high level playmaking, high level just being a big time part of his team's success. That's that for a guy like Jaden Ivey.
So if it was like 15 and 7, which I don't think happens, but like it was 15 and 7,
that would put him inside the top 3 most likely. Like,
I don't think he gets 7 assists on this team.
No, I don't either. But if he gets like 17 or 18 points, he's probably just outside, maybe at 5 or looking from the outside in. If that, especially if he averages like 17-1-2 or 17-2-2, like that's probably not going to be enough to put him inside that top 5. But
I could see him averaging 15 and 4, maybe a pair of boards.
Right, and I think that's just outside that top 5 at that point. Unless he plays really high level defense, then you're probably looking at him being inside the top 5.
Yeah,
because I mean, look at the numbers Scotty Barnes put up last year. And like his numbers were 15, 7, and 3, 7.5, 3.5. Like that's the type, and that's
why I throw out the 15 and 7.
On 49% shooting, 30% from 3, played really solid defense like that, and the team was successful. If you're not putting up the high level numbers, your team also has to be successful, and you got to be a big part of that to be in that consideration.
By the way, it totally looks like there's a ghost behind you on your Zoom camera.
What do you mean? Why?
The door is cracked open, and all you see is a dark shadow.
Oh yeah, my dog just walked in. No, he does this. Okay, so he does this creepy thing where if he knows somebody is behind a closed door, he'll come up and push it open, and then he won't walk in. He'll like show only half his face in the door, and then he'll leave.
Yep, he does that specifically when you're in the bathroom.
Yeah, he loves doing it when you're in the bathroom.
Should we move on to some football?
Yeah, let's move on to some football.
All right,
take it away.
Let's kick it off with this. ESPN released a projection of, or I should say, ranking of all 32 teams' offensive lines based on projected pass and run block win rates for 2022. To preface, rookie starters are assumed to be below average because that's historically they usually are in whatever algorithm they're using. We don't have any rookie starters, so there's that.
I was going to say that makes this ranking even worse.
And then players who have played but only in small amounts have their previous win rates regress toward a below average level.
Again,
I don't know what's considered small amounts.
Again, that makes this even worse because none of that really applies to any of our guys either.
Yeah. And then after that, the average pass and run block ranks was 60-40 split favoring the passing game. And then they do weighted average after that. So, the Lions, just generally historically, Nick, on national media, where would you say Lions' offensive line has kind of been placed?
Well, we have been talking about how they are considered to be elite this year inside that top three. We've talked about how they're getting national media attention in that regard, that this offensive line is elite. Like, really good. Top three.
Top three?
Yeah.
Yeah, ESPN has us just outside the bottom five.
Which I think is utterly ridiculous.
We're number 26. That is where the Lions are ranked. And the quick write-up, so our pass block...
Can I ask...
By the way, projected starters...
And you know how much I love ripping on BSPN, as I like to call it. But can I ask who wrote this article?
This is Seth Walder of ESPN Analytics. I'm not familiar with
Seth Walder, get a new job. That's just terrible.
The projected starters that they used were Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, Vaitai, and Penei Sewell, which is accurate. I'm starting to wonder if they considered one season of Penei Sewell as not enough sample size.
I'm starting to wonder if the guys never watched a single game of Penei Sewell play, or Frank Ragnow, or Taylor Decker.
Pass block rank is ranked number 26. Run block is number 24, and it's weighted towards pass block, so we dropped to number 26. And the write-up says, after a rough start to his rookie season, Sewell's numbers improved when he moved over to right tackle. His pass block win rate jumped from 82 to 87%. His run block win rate ticked up from 71% to 73%. They said neither right tackle number is elite. They're both right around average.
If anybody was less than ecstatic with how Penei Sewell played last year, I don't know what you were watching. Guy was great on both sides of the ball.
Exactly. They said neither right tackle number is elite. They're both right around average, but perhaps it suggests what ought to be a slightly brighter forecast for his 2022 season than his numbers in aggregate might indicate. The whole write-up was about Penei Sewell.
Ignoring the fact you have an all-pro center, ignoring the fact you have one of the probably top 10 left tackles as a vet on the left side. You're forgetting about the fact Jonah Jackson's been an absolute stud at left guard, and Vaitai, who's a long-term vet in this league, also at right guard, who's probably the least exciting name on this list and the least productive name on that list for the offensive line. I don't know how you can say that equates to a 26th best offensive line. That just makes zero sense to me. Any offensive line that has an all-pro on it automatically is better than most. Not to mention, you really don't have a true weak spot on the offensive line. Your right tackle is a future star on the line. Your left tackle is one of the most solid left tackles in the league. And then your interior linemen are as a unit great. You want to say that last year's offensive line was so bad, so this year's going to be bad? Okay, they were missing their left tackle. They were missing their center. Why are you... And I'm pretty sure... Wasn't Jonah Jackson hurt most of last year, too? They were missing the entire left side of their line.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be good.
You know who they have above us, Nicholas? They're the Miami Dolphins, who were one of the worst units last year in the league. And the write-up on the Dolphins is even more embarrassing.
He puts the Seattle Seahawks, who haven't had an offensive line
30.
since, like, Nam. Okay.
30, so we're at least better than the Seahawks.
All right, so he's not totally brain dead. Got it.
So he starts off talking about Terran Armstead. Said win rates have never liked Armstead as much as one might think, and his very strong reputation, but he still helps Miami. He says this line has plenty of problems elsewhere, though Austin Jackson's been poor in pass protection at both guard and tackle over his 2-year career, and Liam Eichenberg was the third worst tackle in win rate last season, pass block win rate last season. So he's writing up an offensive line where he's basically trashing every position on there, and then puts a line.
Yet shows win rates for Penei Sewell that were probably better than these guys, but that's why they're behind. That it makes zero sense. This guy probably just has no idea how good Frank Ragnow is or Taylor Decker
paralysis
is.
by analysis. That's what it is. I mean, I work in an analytical role, not sports analytics, but one of the foundational things you do when you have an algorithm or you have any kind of calculation that churns out data for you, you fact check that data. You sense check it. You're like, all right, does this output make any sense?
He had to have been going on.
Clearly, he didn't do that.
Right. Like, that just... How you can make an argument that the Lions' offensive line, if healthy, is that bad. They have an all-pro, a potential Pro Bowler, another potential Pro Bowler, potential all-pro, if you ask me about Penei Sewell. Like, I'm just missing where the holes are on this O-line. You want to say right guard is a hole? Fine. It's probably the least important position on the offensive line. Where's the hole? And that's, given some discredit to Vaitai. He's not terrible. He's decent. Jonah Jackson's a good left guard. Penei Sewell is great at right tackle. Left tackle, Taylor Decker, really good. And then center, Frank Ragnow, he's probably one of the best centers in the game. Where's the hole?
I don't know. I generally don't. I want to know.
He literally quoted blocking win rates for Penei Sewell that are better than names he talked about ahead of the Lions. Like, that just doesn't make sense. What is he going off of here? Is he going off the fact that the entire line was injured last year, so he doesn't trust him to be any good? All right, fine. Then you could make an argument there, but don't act like the offensive line, as healthy like they are, is going to be that bad, because they're not.
Yeah, this is where advanced stats can steer you wrong, kids. Example A. Exhibit A, I should say.
Yes.
Another thing that happened in the NFL this week, Roquan Smith demanding a trade from the Chicago Bears, and I know a certain team in that division that could really use some help at linebacker. Nick, if you're Brad Holmes,
yes,
you pulling out all the stops?
I wouldn't say all the stops, but I would definitely be making a more than one phone call to see what they're looking for. I like Roquan Smith. No, he hasn't quite lived up to being as good of a player as we thought he could be, but he's still a solid linebacker in this league without a doubt, and a damn good one, if you ask me. I would love to have him on this roster, on this team. I think it would bolster the front seven in a massive way. I would absolutely be making the call over to the Chicago Bears, see what I can do. Now, it's probably going to cost you more because you're in division.
Yep.
I'd be willing to pay a little bit more to bring him in, though. Short of anybody on our offensive line, outside of maybe Vaitai, I give him. But short of that, short of Swift, St. Brown, I don't think anybody else is off the table at that point. Hell, by the looks of it, maybe they're calling to have a quarterback.
What if?
Have you seen the videos of Justin Fields during camp?
I have not.
That dude can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He overthrew a wide open receiver in the end zone by like 15, 20 yards.
What if they're asking for Jared Goff?
Take him. Here you go.
What do you do at quarterback at that point?
Tim Boyle, come on down. No, I go and find someone off the scrap heap, let them play a year, and draft your guy next year. Isn't that the plan already? Draft our guy next year? Jared Goff can't be the long-term answer, Kenny.
Would you part with a 2023 first and a 2023 third and a 2022 second? Or 2024 second, sorry.
Depends on what that first is. If it's the Rams first, I would definitely consider it.
Well, yeah, if it's the Rams first, you would, but if it's not.
If it's our first, no. To be honest with you, I would probably say no at that point. However,
I'd prefer to have both first, just so I can leverage that into getting my guy.
I would too. But, like, I would definitely lean that route, but it's tough to say because
another shot at quarterback or an all-pro linebacker. Which one do you want?
Is Roquan Smith all-pro?
I think so, isn't he?
I thought he was just solid. If he's all-pro, then I'm totally wrong on him.
Roquan Smith's one of like the best linebackers in the league.
I thought he was looked at as being like totally overrated.
2-time second-team All-Pro last 2 years.
All right, fair enough. He is one of the top linebackers in the league. I stand corrected. Interesting.
So wait, does that change your answer then to my question?
No, probably not, because I still don't think I want to give up an all-pro linebacker. Like, in my opinion, if I'm the Lions and I have both those draft picks, I am trading both of them to move up to make sure I land a quarterback. That's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Now, if they're asking for Jared Goff, which I doubt they are, because that would just be short of Justin Fields like going nuts and getting himself suspended from the league forever. Gambling on football, for instance. Yeah. I don't think they're going to be looking for a quarterback. But regardless, I would definitely entertain the idea of giving up a few high-level picks to bring in Roquan Smith for sure. Mm-hmm. I think that would absolutely shore up that front seven in a big way and make that defense a little bit scary. I ain't going to lie.
CBS has a list of 5 potential destinations for Roquan Smith, and this is not based on any kind of
Are the Lions one of those 5?
Rumors. It's just destinations that they think would make sense for Roquan Smith.
So the Lions are definitely not one of them then.
No, it's your typical...
I was going to say, national media doesn't give the Lions that much credit.
Yeah, it's your typical Dallas, Miami, New England, Denver, Baltimore,
the same names that are apparently involved.
5 teams.
Same names that apparently are involved in every single player out there.
Every time a defensive player becomes available, the Baltimore Ravens are always a name thrown out. Like,
So I actually have a list here for you also.
Oh, okay.
This is by 2 publications that are lesser known. I saw it on Twitter the other day. Okay. One of them is the Wenzel perspective, the Wenzel perspective, and the other one is.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me this was a list that had Roquan Smith as a line as a potential trading spot for Roquan Smith.
This is something else, and this is also by NFL Roundtable.
Okay.
It is the most overrated player on each NFC team. And fun fact, they do have Roquan Smith on this list. It's 2 lists of names. Roquan Smith is one of them on this list for the Wenzel perspective. Who do you think is on the list for the most overrated? Now, you get 2 shots of this because there's 2 different names. Who is the most overrated player on the Lions?
Are we talking on both sides of the ball or
entire roster?
I'm saying, did they pick one from the offensive side of the ball and one from the defensive side of the ball?
Both of these guys would be on the same side of the ball.
Gotcha.
It's just 2 different opinions on who it is. I kind of disagree with one of them for sure because I don't quite consider him to be that highly rated, but that just
could see just because we're basing it off a rookie season and like not even like 10 games rookie season at that. I could see someone thinking Amon-Ra St. Brown's overrated. I don't agree with it.
I would absolutely disagree with that 100%. That dude looks like a star.
So I'm saying I would agree with it. I'm just saying I could see someone trying to say that. Overrated.
Would it help if I gave you some names from some other teams?
I'm trying to think of who's highly rated on this Lions roster.
Not necessarily highly rated either. Just somebody who's gotten maybe a little bit of hype, and they're saying, no, ain't even worth that. I will tell you this, one of them I don't think you'd even be able to get because I don't even think he's rated. Like, I think he's lower down.
Jerry Jacobs?
No. You're not that far off, though, with one of the names. The name that I don't think you'd be able to get is Michael Brockers. That's one name they threw out. I'm just like, why even bother? Because whatever. But to give you an idea of some of the other names.
I didn't even realize it was that highly rated.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like Packers, they've named Darnell Savage and Aaron Jones. Vikings, Eric Kendricks is the only name. Bears, Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. Cowboys, Zeke Elliott and Leighton Vander Esch. Whoa. Eagles, James Bradbury is the only name they mention.
Whoa.
Giants, Kenny Galladay and Saquon Barkley. I definitely agree with Kenny Galladay one. Antonio Gibson and Chase Young for the Commanders, which Chase Young I think is just a bold-faced lie. Honestly, I think Gibson's a bold-faced lie, too. That dude's just a stud. Deion Jones for the Falcons. Robbie Anderson for the Panthers. Disagree with that.
Is it Amani or Oruwariye for the Lions?
You would be correct, sir. They've got Amani Oruwariye as the most overrated player on the Lions. What do you think about that?
I put it there. He said I was close on Jerry Jacobs.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a solid season last season, but it wasn't anything crazy for me to even consider him overrated in the first place. Like, I have high hopes for Amani Oruwariye.
I definitely think they struggled to find names for the Lions because there probably aren't a lot of highly rated players. Like if they would have said DeAndre Swift.
I also have reservations about him being your CB1.
Right, 100%.
Is that considered overrated?
In my opinion, if he's your CB1, I would be a little bit concerned because he's good. He had a solid season last year, but like that dude can't cover the best receivers in the league. Put him on Devontae Adams, he can't cover that. And I mean, not many people can, but that's what you need out of your CB1.
Where I rate Amani Oruwariye is, you found a solid corner that you can actually try out there.
Solid
and not
number
panic.
2 guy. Like that's where I would look at him as. Solid number 2 guy.
Which we haven't had a lot of in Detroit. We've had a lot of back corners going through this team.
Yes, absolutely. They've got Deebo Samuel and Kyler Murray listed on here too. I do think they struggled to find a name for the Lions because, again, I don't think there's a ton that are really highly rated. How would you have felt if they would have put DeAndre Swift on that list?
Again, DeAndre Swift is not a guy that I think a lot of what his
he's a guy that's being looked at as like one of the top offensive players of the year this year.
Yes, I'm saying it's a lot of hype and anticipation based on what he could be with what's around him.
That's rating someone.
I always view overrated as based on what he did, and you're overrating what he did.
I think a lot of overrating someone's based on hype.
Because like my hype in DeAndre Swift, yes, I think he has the skill set to do it, but my hype in DeAndre Swift is more around the offensive line he's playing behind, the offensive weapons around him that can open the field for him.
I think that kind of discredits him a little bit. I think he's a really talented player.
I'm saying he has a talent. That's what I'm saying. He has a talent to take advantage of all that. That's what I'm saying. But
yes,
like it's not a different player than last year. Right. I don't know. Like I don't know if you've listened to the Niza one lately. I've never seen Valeni be so high on a Lions player. He said,
he's all aboard the Swift train this year.
He says he's Zeke when Zeke was good.
Wow. See, I'm all aboard the train of I think Zeke isn't even the best running back on his own football team, but that's
not now, but rookie year Zeke was a monster.
He was a monster rookie year, yes.
Yeah.
But I do think it's kind of interesting that there is a lot of hype surrounding DeAndre Swift this year for sure.
Yeah, I guess I couldn't get mad at it though because again, like
he hasn't shown you enough to give you a reason to fully believe in that.
Like, from a fantasy football perspective, yeah, you could argue overrated for DeAndre Swift because of the fact that ADP overrated. But.
Right. So, you excited for fantasy football season?
Oh, yeah. We've started up talks in our league again.
We're trying to started. Like, I feel like that's been going on for months.
Start up to, like, in terms of, like, getting a draft schedule. Like
all right. I got you.
Like an in-person draft schedule.
That's fair. Let's go ahead and kind of move on to the final topic of the episode here, which is what we kind of talked about.
As a defending champ, should I do anything special? Should I like show up like? Should I get like a championship belt or something?
I was going to say maybe you get a championship belt.
A belt like
maybe you do. Maybe you do. Or
buy a championship ring. Like
yes, that's what I was going to say. Show up with a ring. Just
you guys saw
flash it around, show the bling.
I saw a thing on Instagram today. It was These guys did a fancy. This had to be year old because I don't know anyone that's doing a fancy draft right now, so it's had to be a year old. These guys did a fancy draft, and they all like showed up dressed as if like they were the GM of the team. They're all in suits, and they had like they're all on their cell phones, and they had like a bunch of like laptops and notepads around.
There's a lot of people who like make fun of those guys, but you know what? Those guys are having fun.
One of the guys brought an intercom. like a teleconference phone. Like
those guys are having fun. Yeah. Don't give them too much shit. Let them have their fun. But
I mean, we did 1 year where like this was before I was commissioner. We did a year where our commissioner basically acted as like a commissioner during the draft, and like every time you made a pick, you had to go up and shake his hand and put the name on the board.
Okay, that's hilarious. Did you boo him every time he walked out on stage?
Oh, absolutely. It was his last year. And it was already known it was going to be his last year because we were all complaining about him as commissioner, that's so hilarious. He wanted to go on the bang.
That's funny. Oh, man. What's your thoughts on where's your favorite place to draft from? And how do you feel about the typical bar draft? Because there's a lot of guys who do bar drafts.
What's your thoughts on those? And I've done house drafts. I always prefer drafting at a place of residence because you can basically customize your experience more that way. You can get rowdier that way, and you just have more fun with it. Bar drafts are fun.
And you're not banking on somebody else. Like, you're not banking on the bar's internet.
Yep.
That's the other big word.
Well, we do live drafts. Like
fair.
the only times
fair.
I've never done a bar like online draft. I've always done live. Like I remember there was 1 year we did Permani Bros in Novi.
Okay.
And like they had like a thing where they will provide like beer
I remember them doing that.
And a draft board, and you just go and they bring down food and buckets of beer and stuff. And like we had our own little corner, so I mean it was fun, but it's just more fun when you do it at a place. We've done it at a workplace before.
Interesting.
Because my cousins own their own office, so we were able to do it in a conference room.
Yeah.
That was fun, too.
That would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think I like the home draft better. Even if you, like, do it outside. Like, do kind of like what they're doing with the NFL draft when it comes here.
Done outside before.
I think those are pretty cool. Being able to customize the way you do the draft is the best way, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
But you got to get, like, everybody together. It's got to be a league where you can get everybody.
It's no fun if it's just like three guys.
Right. It's got to be
in the restaurant.
If you have a 12-team league, you got to have at least 10 of the guys there. And if the other two guys are routine people who don't show up, well, maybe they don't get invited back into the league. That's all.
Oh yeah, we always have like a few remote guys that basically, and like we don't do our draft online at all. Like it's all in person, and they literally just have to like text us their.
That would be an awful draft.
Like we will do it. Like they'll either like hop on FaceTime or like the last couple of years. What I did is I set up a Google sheet that like I share with them. That way they can come in remotely, and I'll basically put the picks in the Google sheets that happen, and they just enter their pick in when their turn comes.
That's not bad.
But half the time that ends up with us calling them like, put your motherfucking pick in before. Anyway,
all right, let's move on to. Are you doing any DFS type seasons this year?
I want to.
I
get the participation I want. That's all.
I do too. All right, let's go ahead and move on into our final topic of the night, which obviously we do, like we mentioned earlier, we are recording the same day that Hard Knocks releases. It's actually supposed to be releasing in 2 hours and 55 minutes? Is that right? Something like that?
As of this current time, yes.
Yeah. So we're not going to be able to kind of break it down or give a recap, but what we can do is talk about some of the footage that has come out of this, out of the hype up around it. And I mentioned I alluded to a video that kind of surfaced over the last couple of days of a breakdown by Jamal Williams.
Oh,
he broke the team down. Got a little emotional.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
He got a little bit emotional in his speech to the team, and nationally speaking, at least in the public eye, it's been received pretty damn well. A lot of people hype about the Lions. A lot of people hype about the Heart. I've been hearing some grumblings locally, though, that there's some people that don't really like it, that it shows softness, or there's a lot of, well, they're the Lions. You'd probably cry too. Or
really?
Or the comment of, that record's not who we are. Well, you're the Lions. Yes, it is.
That's what he's saying, is that our record's not who we are. Like, that was the whole point of the speech.
Right. And people's response to that is, you're the Lions. Yes, it is.
But, no, like, what he was saying in that speech, I feel like is almost what every Lions fan wants to tell the team if they ever got the chance to talk to the team. Like, when you're tired, think of last year in that fucking record. Every time you think you're tired and can't go anymore, think of that fucking record. That's not it. That ain't us. Like, have some heart.
But history has told us that is us.
Yeah.
Can we really say that's not us? History says otherwise.
It's us until you change that mindset of it. Ain't it? Like,
right. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just kind of messing around.
Accept that? Like,
no, I get it. I'm just being a dick. But no, I personally, I loved it. I love seeing the heart coming from this team, and there's been video after video after video that have come out. You know, Hard Knocks teasers all over the place. That it's a lot. This team's got a lot of heart, and I think the fact that a majority of this coaching staff have been on that side of the huddle, have been on the field and played the game, put their blood, sweat, and tears out there, and that helps, I think, instill that heart into these players. And maybe we are seeing a little bit of this culture that they've been preaching for a while now. I'll tell you what, and here's kind of my bold prediction to come from this Hard Knocks thing, and you can either, call me crazy or whatever, and a lot of people probably will, but I think this season whereas a lot of seasons of Hard Knocks have kind of turned off fans from certain teams, I think it'll be quite the opposite with the Lions. I think this is going to endear a lot of the, fans around the country that aren't totally aligned with the team or are just football fans. I think they're going to get a lot of love from this season of Hard Knocks. Just because you're seeing a lot of emotion, a lot of heart, a lot of energy that are in these videos. And I know they're only teasing the best of the best, but there's going to be a lot of it with this team. I truly believe that. I think it's going to win over a lot of fans out there.
Did you see the clip of Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn going at it?
I don't think I did. I think I missed that one.
Oh my God. It's fun. It's a fun clip. It's, they were basically like, it was like one of those cutaway interviews to Deuce Staley, and he was talking about Aaron Glenn saying, "I love him, but I want to fuck him up between the lines." And then like it cuts to like a minute of them two just kind of like jawing off at each other like after every play, like during practice.
That's former players right there. Like that's the best part about it is those two guys are former players that are just going at it. They know what it's like in camp, and they know the pressure and mentality and the temperature that things get in that on that field, and it's fun to see stuff like that for sure. Yeah. Like it's a ton of fun to see stuff like that, and I mean the speeches we've heard of from Dan Campbell that have come out of this, they've I've heard some people say I would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell after some of them, and the ones that I've heard, I'd kind of want to strap pads on and run through a brick wall myself, like. He's one of those guys.
We're going to tread water as long as it takes to bury you. Like,
yeah. And I mean, that's a typical Dan Campbellism. Yeah. They're going to knock us down. We're going to bite them in the knee on the way back up. And
it's just,
knock us down again. We're going to bite them in the kneecap on the way back up.
What this Hard Knocks thing is giving us is we're actually kind of like seeing how Dan Campbell's attitude is like trickling down to the assistant coaches, to the players. Like, and that's what I'm hoping to see. Like, that's one of my main things I want to take away from this. Like,
the one thing I will say, and I don't think we're going to get be able to get an idea of it from Hard Knocks. I think that's more of it's going to have to play out on the field. But I hope that it isn't all rah-rah. I hope we actually see improvement in the X's and O's, because that was where the Lions were lacking severely in a lot of ways last year, especially from the coaching staff. Like, the X's and O's have to be better this year, and all the rah-rah stuff is great, but they need improvement in the X's and O's. So I'm hoping that these guys can step up in that realm and make big improvements there.
I have heard rumors that Ben Johnson's actually a really creative play caller. Now, creative doesn't necessarily mean good, but I've heard some rumors that he's a pretty
Who's a creative play caller is,
but we don't even know if he's actually going to be calling plays because we haven't even been told
that hasn't
Campbell
been.
or
I
Ben
would
Johnson
hope
are
so.
calling plays.
Granted, Dan Campbell did have a good end of season, but for a while when he was calling plays, it was rough to an extreme. Like it was some of the most predictable ass shit, basic stuff. Like it was not good. It looked like a high school playbook almost.
It just feels weird to have like non-Lions fans getting excited about the Lions.
What I saw,
like Pat McAfee is hype about the Lions. It just feels weird to have non-Lions Kool-Aid drinkers.
When I saw the tweet
about
of
the Lions
some random sports betting account saying BRB hammering the Lions over 7.5, I just went, all right.
Wait, it's up to 7.5 now?
I think on some books it's been bet up to 7.5. I don't know if it actually has been on.
I think
on most
you're going to
books
see some Lions move up with Hard Knocks. I think that's going to be the Hard Knocks effect.
That'll tell you the response from it. If you start seeing that Lions win total move up on some of these books, well,
they're going to be too exposed to the over. They're going to have to move it up. So
yeah. So okay, I got to ask you this. Who's the guy that becomes the meme out of Lions training camp?
Oh, it's going to be Jamal Williams. The dude's a walking meme.
Because
not even in Hard Knocks, every quote we got from Jamal Williams was gold. So.
Like the Hard Knocks that I remember is, I believe it's the Browns, that offensive line coach, that really big dude, and his belly moves with him.
His entire gut moves in the hut. False start on the gut.
I'm thinking that level of meme. Who is the guy this year? Is it Jamal Williams? I mean, he's the big anime guy.
He's gonna be memed in terms of he's gonna have just gold lines that turn into memes is that hut? But other than that, I don't know. That's a good question. That is a good question.
Maybe it's going to be one of the coaching staff. I mean, they're obviously loud personalities also. They like to talk. Maybe it'll be one of those guys.
Maybe you'll get a meme from the Deuce Staley Aaron Glenn relationship / banter. Maybe that'll result in something.
I'll tell you what.
I already have one for that Madden players will probably use because you caught the quote in the clip, and it was basically Deuce Staley just hammering Aaron Glenn with like 5-10 yard screen passes. And Aaron Glenn like yelling at Deuce about Deuce. I was like, "Want to do something, buddy? Come stop it!" And Aaron goes, "Stop being a bitch and calling these screens," which is every Madden player's frustration when they're
100%. Oh man, I couldn't even tell you the last Madden game I owned. It's probably like 19 or 20. I don't know. Game sucks.
I'm hearing they changed the whole like gameplay system this year, but we'll see if it turns out anything actually good. But
probably not. EA Sports hasn't really put out a good game in a long time.
Yeah, like I'm hoping it is because I really want to buy a Madden game. I just want to buy a good one and not waste my money on supporting a shit product.
I'm starting to get that way with 2K now too. Like I want to have a good game, not one that's a new player skin basically over the same games.
Yeah, I'd fallen off 2K for a few years, and last year was the first year that I bought it again. And I think the Pistons might get me buying 2K.
I'll be honest with you. I do think and I think this is probably true with most fans. If your team is good, you're probably buying the game.
Yeah.
Because you want to play with your team. So it's very possible that I'll be I might be into 2K next year because of.
But do I have like high hopes for this next 2K? No. I mean, we haven't heard much about it or in some player ratings and stuff. But.
Right. I think it's safe to say that this Hard Knocks is actually going to be kind of fun. I really do think so. There's a lot. The videos that I've seen have kind of gotten me a little bit excited for it, and that's come from somebody who
I'm curious.
Really didn't care.
I have HBO Max, but I HBO. Does it also drop at 10 on HBO Max, or does it have to air on HBO first before it goes to HBO Max?
That's a good question. I don't even think I have HBO. I have HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's like a simultaneous thing where as soon as it starts on HBO, it's available to watch on HBO Max. But Because if it's at 10,
The episodes will also be found on HBO Max at the same time.
Okay. So
yes.
there's a chance I'll watch it tonight.
There is a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would have done it for 11, but 10...
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe I'll watch tomorrow or something. But anyways, anything else to add before we close out here?
No, that's about it.
All right, that is going to close it out for this week, guys. Hope you enjoy Hard Knocks because, we'll have some stuff to talk about there. Hopefully we get some more Pistons news next week as well. When does training camp begin? Because I know Wings training camp begins in September. Yes.
Yeah, I think September as well because the preseason begins really October.
Okay.
So.
All right. So hopefully we get some news as we go into camp. I don't think we will because there's nothing really going on, but who knows? I guess no news is good news, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Have we heard anything about Jaden Ivey's ankle?
No, he's fine.
Okay. All right, good. All right. Anyways, that is going to close it out for this week, guys. Thank you for listening. And thank you, Andrew, for joining me. Thank you, Detroit Sports Podcast. As always, follow on Twitter @RealFanReport. You can find our network as well at Detroit Podcast. We will catch you guys next week. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
For fans.
Have a good one, guys. Enjoy your week. Enjoy Hard Knocks. And enjoy the nice weather this week, too, I think. Last I checked, it was supposed to be nice. But anyways.
Pretty nice today. Humid, but nice.
Yeah. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Peace out.
Peace.